This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare. One last scare. One last scare.
Hello, and welcome to The Last Scare, a home for horror nerds to come together and gush about their favorite feel-good genre. And Friday is for Final Girls. We have a triple feature we're doing tonight. I am so excited, and I'm excited. Sabrina, real quick, how have you felt going through this triple feature and kind of exploring these movies that have similarities, but also are very distinct in their own way?
I like how we got a little bit of something for each little topic, like a little something different. But like, even though they're all like, it still has a common element of the Final Girls, trope. It's like it's got a little something, like little different things, like its own unique thing, and I love that.
Absolutely. Real quick shout out. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in probably nearly a year now, but it's great that you're here tonight. I'm so happy you're here for Final Girls Night.
Thank you for
And
inviting us.
yeah, thank you. This is something that we just kind of came up with and just immediately
Yeah.
latched on to. We got so excited. And I think we should just jump into it. And for
Okay.
both of us, this is the freshest movie on our minds. And we're going to start with The Craft, 1996. Going back in time a little bit here. You said this immediately, and it's so true. This movie is pure 90s. It is just immediately.
Oh my god, like the most 90s, like goth, like literally, like it was so like it had so many like teen girl like elements to, even though it was like a gothic 90s movie, but like I just loved it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just drawn to the aesthetic and the overall feeling of it. It was so just it made me realize how much I appreciate 90s horror.
Oh my god. I think I don't appreciate enough, because I don't think I've seen everything, but it makes me want to just like binge everything. I was like, I'm glad I watched this, because like I don't think I mean, I probably heard the name on like some like horror page, but I don't think I've ever like heard anyone ever talk about it until you brought it up.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely found a cult following over the years,
I can
and
see that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. One thing, I don't know how you felt about this particular, if it stood out to you. And this is for like most of the movie. There are some things at the very end that kind of like I felt wasn't as strong as what they built up to, like the foundation they laid out for this movie. But in the very beginning, when we meet all these girls, we get to see their personal lives, and they like really make them you understand them more. You know what I mean? They're not just like
kind of sympathetic, like why
they're
they're doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get why they are doing what they're doing, and you kind of just feel for them, and you want to root for them. You know what I mean?
It's like usually those those teen movies. It's like always like that little personal like issues they have that like gets you to like kind of sympathize with the character, which is like a good if it's like written well, it could be like a good thing, because it's like, all right, at the end of the day, that's what people make these movies for, so you could relate to certain characters and like see yourself in them, even if they do stupid mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And handy dandy notebook. I I thought this was already up and open on my lap, but no. So for those who are not aware, it's 1996, and we have a young woman who is who moved. She's joining high school, and she is approached by a group of friends who our lovely, beloved, amazing Nev Campbell is a part of. I love seeing her in this. To join a coven.
Her and oh my god, Skeet Ulrich too were in it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Man.
Literally, I was like, okay, this is just like a Scream reunion, then probably.
it was just a treat, really.
Oh yeah.
I think all of our lead ladies, Rachel True, loved her so much in this as well. She did great. I did not write down all the cast. I'm sorry. This is the
is that the one that played Nancy?
Rachel True?
Yeah, I looked up their names and I just completely forgot which one is which.
She's the one that wished for her bully to be ugly.
Oh, I loved her. She was great. Oh, I loved her.
Yeah.
I loved her. I loved all the girls. I loved the one who played Nancy too, though. She was good.
hang on one second. I need to pull up some notes I took on my laptop too. I switched laptops. So quickly, do you have any favorite moments that stood out to you? One thing I will say that I did love about this movie was the soundtrack was
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah, that again, it's just
Phenomenal.
like I said, it's just like pure like '90s teen movie. Like even though it was literally about like group of girls that are like try to be witches and like have a
Yeah.
little cult. It's like a little cult movie, which like weirdly enough, sometimes I just really like cult movies because I like to see where they go. And like this one was very creative, so I really liked it a lot. I'm trying to think what was my favorites, but I think one of my favorite like moments is like again when they're just all bonding because like even though it's literally like about like a cult, them all being witches, it's like they have a little sleepover and they're all like bonding, like it's like a typical like teenage coming of age story, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this. I love this so much. Like it was like a little moments like the little montage. I was like, what movie am I watching? I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this must be dark and gothic, and then it goes to like like a coming of age like girls having a sleepover, and it was so cute. I loved that.
Oh, for sure. And quick little thing. Please make sure you like and maybe even share if you're enjoying this because the more put out there, the more we can actually do for you guys because we both love this
Yeah, we want to
little
do more for
fluff.
you.
We
So
really
just
do.
like
And
also recommend stuff that you want us to cover too.
yeah, we can do another final girls night if you like this. Maybe, possibly, me and Sabrina
We're
teaming
still
up
doing
again.
it. We're still doing it.
But one thing I did want to say, and like, I don't. Hmm. There are certain bits of this movie that really just made me a bit like frustrated almost. Because
Okay.
when we start out, there's this great understanding of the characters and like their individual situations because all of them are going through it. All of them are dealing with something really rough. And the build up was great. And then towards the end of it, it just kind of like just ends. There's no it doesn't just
Yeah.
end, but also the way that it ramps up makes no sense to me. Like I remember I was sitting and I was kind of confused about why certain characters were interacting the way they were and why these characters are mad at these other ones. With that being said, I guess we can just dip into spoilers really quickly. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen the craft and you want to see it, mute us for a bit probably.
Yeah. Or just pause us or like
Pause us. We have 3 movies to cover tonight, so there'll be plenty to go through. Jumping right into it. So we have our lovely Nancy, who was great, and after they had their big ritual, everyone kind of turned on her when she started calling things out. And I feel like for me, that bit was rushed, personally. I think
Okay.
that it was not only rushed, but also I feel like the characters became two-dimensional at the end of the movie. Like at the beginning of it, they felt really human and just like these imperfect people, and I thought that was really cool. But towards the end, they just kind of felt 2D and just like
Yeah.
villainous for no reason.
Well, like
Even at the very end, when Rochelle and Bonnie are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, she probably doesn't have magic anyway." Like, what
yeah,
are
it's
you
like you
doing?
came to apologize and then it just like they're like, oh, we feel bad because like they got their power taken away, like they were like blinded with power and like like all their what great things were happening to them because of that power. But and then like you think that they're actually like sorry and they're being sincere, and then like when she does that side comic, it's a comment. It's like, okay, you're not being sincere, and like you didn't learn anything. You're just trying to beg for your powers back somehow. So it's like you think that they learned the lesson after they were like so blinded by everything, like after the aftermath. But it's like, okay, they really just didn't.
Yeah, it was a bit weird that they never like no like none of the original friends before Nancy joined learned.
No, yeah, like again, like something you were saying before is like how they felt very two-dimensional. Like again, like they all had their individual problems,
Mhm.
and then when they all got powerful, it was like okay, they and then like Nancy obviously got like power hungry that they all just kind of became like mindless, like little like sidekicks.
Yeah, like they just kind of became cartoonish almost.
Yeah, that's like very like a, I don't want to say like a corny trope, but like a very like basic trope that like you see like all the time. It's like, oh, because it's like the leader has the mind, and then like the other two are just so scared they go with it, and it's like they acted like mindless like sidekicks, and I don't think I loved that.
I 100% agree. I think that they lost their own like their own voice almost, and it was just really weird to me. Like I think it would have been really cool to see them try to stand up, or maybe like them understand they're messy, they're a cautionary tale, or whatever
again,
have you.
Like, I don't want to say like, oh, it's obviously because like, like Bonnie became narcissistic because her back scars. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Dreaded, who's always joining us. Dreaded
we appreciate you so much, Dreaded.
I always enjoy these podcasts. You guys are an absolute inspiration, which makes me want to cry, but thank you so much. We really do try to.
We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, we want to make, we want to make things that make people happy. So
yeah, we're just here to talk about our feel good genre.
Favorite feel good genre. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I address that because that.
No, I love that. No, I love that. I love it always because it's not like we have to appreciate. Like we generally appreciate it. And we want to like make sure that's like always known.
Literally, but jumping right back into it, and I basically covered all the things I feel about it. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to have their own agency. I wanted them to kind of like sink their teeth deeper into the idea of why this is a bad thing, why revenge doesn't really end well for you, but
karma.
Yeah. And like, listen, the ending when they're like, sorry, we like almost killed you.
Yeah, they were like not even like they're like, oh yeah, sorry, hello, sorry, like we're just kidding. Like no, you literally tried to, like you all wanted her to kill herself. Like what do you mean?
Like like the whole plane thing, it was a prank. You convinced her that her dad and her sister, her only living relatives, died in the plane
and it was her
crash.
mom. Wasn't it the stepmom too?
I don't think she was on it. I think it was just the dad and the sister, because like the note was like,
oh okay.
Yeah.
But that was freaky. That was like very freaky. I was like, no.
Oh, you can't just be like, I'm sorry, you don't want to look over me.
Yeah, I mean, like it's one thing if like, it's like the bugs and the maggots, like that's whatever. Like you want to call that a prank, whatever. But they literally convinced her that her family died.
They're insane.
And then they're like, oh yeah, you should kill yourself. Like, sorry, I'm sorry if that's like a trigger, like just a little trigger warning. But yeah,
that
like
is what they said.
Yeah, they literally wanted like, and like they know of her history before meeting them. Like that she literally opened up to them about that, and then instead of being like sympathetic, they're like, no, like you should die, like because she literally was the only one logical enough to be like, okay, this is cool that we have all these powers and then our powers are working together as four, but like now we're having consequences, and I think we should chill out and like
yeah, exactly.
And like
maybe we should use it for
God
good.
that they like prayed to even said like, because the three of them use their powers for bad, like not for good, like took not advantage, what's the word,
they abused their power is what
abused their power so much they gotta take them away, and like the only one who was left with it was Sarah, because she's the only one that only used it to defeat them, because they were literally like like they're trying to like kill her.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel it just made me really disappointed that like it made me almost think of like a horror Mean Girl that's focused on the outcasts instead of the popular girls.
Which is like sometimes I mean like I didn't mind that because it was like a different point of view, especially for the 90s.
I didn't mind that at all. My thing is like Mean Girls ended on a note of people learning why these behaviors are harmful and it having like consequences and like blah 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 blah. I just feel like an ending that was more fleshed out would have been great, but
you're right, it very abruptly ended because like literally Nancy goes to a psych ward and the other two are just like, oh, we're sorry, oh yeah, well you should be nice so the same thing doesn't happen to you that happened to Nancy, and it's like, oh, okay.
It's honestly bonkers, but
I do have to say one thing that I kind of like, now that we're talking about it, that kind of like threw me off, was Nancy like having like being jealous and like having feelings for the heck was his name?
Oh wait, not Nancy. Nancy was the main girl.
Yeah,
Wasn't
she
she?
like remember she like posed as her as Sarah.
No, was it Sarah? Oops. Oh my god, I had the name swap this entire time. That's so embarrassing.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh
It's
no.
fresh on my mind. That's the only reason why I remember.
I know. I'm so bad at names. I can't.
No, it's
believe I've
okay.
done
Like
this.
that's why
Ah!
I made sure to remember the characters' names because I don't remember the actresses' names off the top of my head, except for Nev.
I totally had the name swap. So anytime until this very moment you hear me say Nancy, I meant Sarah.
Okay. Okay, we're good. We clear that up. It's okay.
People are probably like, why does she like Sarah so much? Is she crazy? Jeez, wow. Anyways, yeah, no, that whole situation, which I don't, uncalled for.
That was
First
really
of
weird.
all.
That was very weird.
Second
No,
of
that
all,
actually no, that felt like it came out of nowhere. That was like a very like it's not like it's one thing because like you see Nancy like warn Sarah about him in the beginning that he's like an asshole, which was like whatever,
yeah,
just probably being like a good friend because they probably all got burned by him.
right.
But like it never really like kind of said that she had like some unrequired feelings until that moment. And you're like, oh, okay, like
It's
okay,
out of
what's happening?
nowhere.
Yeah, and like I remember like I was like why did that happen? And they're like they just alluded to her having some type of jealousy, like, and then when she gets like all jealous, she gets all mad, and I'm like, didn't you just try to pose as your friend because you wanted to like hook up with this guy? Like the fuck.
That's exactly what I mean about like the characters just out of nowhere. They like just start acting completely out of character.
And
It
like
makes
again, it wasn't.
no sense.
It's one thing again, like for it to be like the power hungry, because like that was Nancy's kind of thing the whole time, and like that's what Sarah was trying to warn her about. Like, oh, you're being very power hungry, but like it just was very like, oh, okay, they're going there. All right, that's a little, that's a little much, but
After what he did too, after what he tried to
yeah,
do.
oh my god,
The...
literally. Okay, the thing is like,
okay,
all right, can we even talk about this?
Listen, just so everyone knows, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, go
just
ahead.
So everyone knows, right before this, Chris, trigger warning. Chris attempts to essay Sarah.
Yeah, because he's so like under such a love spell and obsessed with
yeah.
her. Yeah, so obsessed with her, and like they finally, she finally gives in because she just wanted him to like her, but she didn't realize, he'd become like obsessed, like, oh my god, like I need you kind of thing. And she didn't think that would happen, and then she ran away. She got away, and then she like ran to you said Rochelle's, right? Rochelle's house, and like told, and like she was like sobbing like about what happened. And, like, all of them, like, obviously wanted to do something about it. And then, like, Nancy kind of, like, was like, no, I'm going to do something about it. It's like, okay, at first you're like, okay, maybe she's trying to be a good friend. Like, I get it. And then she goes to hook up with him. And you're like, oh, she's not doing that to, protect her friend. She's just this, power-hungry, jealous girl with some weird, random, unacquired feelings for Chris that apparently we didn't know about until that second. That actually bothered me. Because it's like, again, it's like they all act like her friend, and then until like something as serious happened, like I said, her talking about her attempted suicide, her almost getting sexually assaulted, and then like, instead of like being like, oh, we're sorry, they're just like, okay, anyway, so I'm powerful now. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And I was like, what? Like, I literally thought, I was like, oh wow, like that's a good friend. Like that's an important message, like, like protecting your friends, especially when something like that happens.
Right.
And just completely fumble it, and they're just like, oh no, she's just wanted to hook up with him instead, and she was jealous that the guy was obsessed with Sarah instead of her, and like apparently she has unrequired feelings we didn't know about. No, yes. Honestly, oh my god, he actually gave me.
Character here might be more creepy than Billy Loomis was. Honestly, Billy Loomis had a little bit of hot going on. I understood why.
Okay,
I got why she was hanging around him.
Had a little crazy, but it's really hot. So it's like it's fine. But
Chris, he was a douchebag. He was a huge douchebag.
Like he just had no good qualities about him.
I know.
Like, honestly, I kept forgetting about him until like, she like kept bringing it up. She's like, oh yeah, Chris, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah, he's still in this movie.
I just hate it. I just
I
hate
don't
it.
know.
Hey, Seth Morrison.
Hi,
Hey, a
Seth.
little late,
Hi,
but I'm
Jordan. Thanks for
here.
coming.
So glad you're here. We're talking about the craft. We're kind of wrapping up. We're just venting about this one thing that just feels not. It feels like it's not for the girlies because like that's just not a response someone would have, and like
Like
especially the characters they built up. Because Nancy's whole issue was her abusive stepfather, right? So
that
like
literally like. See, okay, it's even funnier. See, now that you bring that, well, not funny, but like when you bring that up, is before she makes the stepdad have a heart attack, he literally like tries to grab her too, and it's like, oh, okay, you think she's maybe getting abused at home, unfortunately, and so you think she would be more sympathetic, but because of she, I guess, guarded her abuser, and now she thinks she's all powerful. She just doesn't give a shit about anybody,
yeah,
and
I
like that
I
feels like,
know.
again, it's like, okay, wow, like I don't know. Like, I know
I
it's the 90s,
know.
but that could have been, like, a good, like, important, like, moment where, you
Right,
could
of course.
be like, girl power, like, protect your friends, especially from creepy guys. And, like, again, like, that's what it seems like they were trying to do in the beginning, trying to warn Sarah about Chris. And then she's just like, oh, I don't really care that he tried to do that. I'll try hooking up with him. Like,
It was mad uncomfy, and it was just like
now
they didn't
she's
really stick the
weird.
landing. The character arcs kind of just like just
No, and
go
then like when she doesn't
go
want
everywhere.
to anymore, she throws him out a window. Like nothing that could have, honestly, if you deleted that, it would have been fine.
I know it. But all my venting aside, I will say this movie is true vibes. I still love it. I'm nitpicking right here because like it just kind of like if they just would have done this one little thing, if they just would have done this one thing, would have been wonderful, would have been amazing. Oh, you're in for a treat. We'll warn you when we do spoilers. Don't worry, we got you. Do you have anything else about the craft that you want to say?
Apparently, there's a sequel.
There are two technical sequels.
Well, there's like
Don't
one that
watch.
came out in 2010 that's like an actual sequel, like who has somebody in it. I
It's
haven't
not
watched it
even a sequel. It's only a sequel because they threw in one character who doesn't even get a line, and
because
it's
it's like
not
her, because
good.
she has a kid, right? That's like the main character.
It's at the it's at the very end, and it's one like the main character is like, oh, I'm adopted. I want to find my mom, and then goes and finds her mom, and her mom turns out to be. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling, but it's not a good movie. It's nothing like The Craft at all. Her mom goes and her mom ends up being a character from the original, and that's why it's technically a sequel, but it's not actually building on the world. It's not doing anything differently. It's not worth your time. It's actually really annoying. And I'm gonna stop right now before I get more annoyed because I forgot about that movie until here recently, and we're good. It's fine. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
I was like, oh, there's a sequel, and I looked at it. I was like,
Just
oh, no. I
it's
was like, let
fine.
me not.
Everything's good because we are gonna push forward. You ready? You
Mm-hmm.
good? All
Yes.
right. Happy Death Day! I'm
Ah,
excited about this one.
I love this movie
I
so much.
love this movie.
Love it so much. Also, quick note: if anyone doesn't know, the director of this movie is now the director of the new Scream movie. So, like,
I'm so excited. This is a
we
perfect
talked about it
match.
last time on a stream, but I literally was like, I have to bring it up again because I'm so excited. Every time I see that detail, I'm so excited.
It's a beautiful match. I
Oh
love
my god,
Happy
I'm so
Death
excited.
Day. I love his other movie, Freaky. He
Oh,
is
I love
just
Freaky too.
wonderful.
Oh.
I think his name is Christopher Lloyd. That's not his name. What's his name?
Christopher.
Uh,
No, you had the first part right. It's Christopher.
he's not Christopher Lloyd. That's someone completely different. Ignore me. Oh my gosh, when will Jayla ever get her
It's
stuff
okay.
together?
It's okay.
Happy Death Day. I love a time loop movie.
Ugh,
I
I know
love.
they did so well.
Thank you guys. Indiana old and dreaded both let me know it is Christopher Landon, not Lloyd. That is someone who's very different, just to be clear. But Happy Death Day, a movie I think we all here know, but just in case anyone watches this and doesn't know, it is a Groundhog Day horror movie that also is like the loop is
Slasher.
on her birthday. So happy Death Day. I watched this and
So
I fell
clever.
in love with it.
And the sequel, but I know
Yeah.
we're not talking about the sequel, but the sequel's pretty good too.
We will have to get to the sequel. Absolutely. Geez, this movie just makes me have happy feelings on the inside.
Oh my god, like it's sometimes like when it's those. I'm trying to think, like I don't know what to call them, but it's like those. I want to say like original horror movies that like kind of seem like a good concept, and sometimes they don't always land, but this one like landed so well.
Absolutely.
Like it's kind of like in the category of like Smile, kind of like I just don't know what they're called though.
Underdogs?
Ooh,
Unexpected
okay.
hits? I don't
Maybe,
know.
yeah, maybe that. Like, but it's like that type of
A
horror movie.
surprise. But how do I go about it? I think this movie does a good job of taking a concept that makes you kind of want to roll your eyes.
Yeah,
And
but it's
even
also
with
like a good twist with a good twist.
right, for sure. Even with a title that's so on the nose, you're
Yeah.
set up you're set up for thinking something completely different, right? And then you get into it and it's like it's someone who's trying to it's a slasher movie where the only person who can figure out who the killer is the person that keeps getting killed. What? That's so
Like that's
cool.
crazy.
And I loved her character growth throughout it because, she really has to like find herself. She really that's like what she's forced to do. And I love a redemption arc. And this movie is a character redemption arc because you see
Oh
the kind
yeah.
of person she is in the beginning and you see how she's not that great of a person and being in this situation. And I think I have to look it up, someone like put together how long she was looping for. And it's crazy. And she was kind of like forced to come
Oh.
out on the other side a better person. And I love the person she turned into. I
Oh
thought
yeah.
her friend, her the guy's room she keeps waking up in, they didn't this is a long story. I thought he was great. I
Oh, I
loved
love him. The
how
two of them are such a good duo.
they're great together. Oh, I love this movie.
Oh,
Do you have any non-spoilers you want to throw in?
it's not really a spoiler, but sometimes I usually don't like to think about movies like this, but I love how memeable it is too, though.
Oh, it absolutely.
That
Oh my
one scene,
goodness.
that one scene I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
know what you're talking about.
It kills me every time. I'm like, oh, I love this movie so much.
I just love how she just ends
Yeah, I love
up
how
like,
creative and unique it is, but like, it's also still like hits it on the head.
yeah, it's well written and there is some emotional bits in this movie that to grasp onto. It's not just goofs and laughs and blah blah. There's actually some things they touch on that feel really human that I loved
Like, I
a
know
lot.
sometimes we talk about it. It's like very like sometimes like the whole grief in horror movies can be like hit or miss, or sometimes like overplayed. But like, I think this was really good.
Yeah, because it wasn't like the real what the scary thing really is. It's actually a metaphor for grief. It's not that. This is a character that's going through a tough situation that's also grieving someone that they love. And it's someone who is learning to process both at the same time. Two different things.
Yeah,
And they still have fun, and I really appreciate that.
yeah,
But
because it's like
this
again,
movie did make me cry.
yes, this movie made me cry too. But I also, like I said, I like that it has the concept and it stays on that concept, and it doesn't like lose its footing halfway through the movie, like a lot of movies seem to kind of do. Like they always have a good
100%.
concept, and then they'll lose it halfway through, and you're like, why?
100%.
This
100%.
like stays to like the very end, and like, oh, that's why I love. Like that's one of the things I love so much about it. Like that's why it's just so good. It's so good.
You're gonna make me watch the sequel as soon as we get
I
off
know.
of here.
I want to go binge watch it. I want
It's
to
so
make Blake
funny.
binge watch it with me again because I love them so much.
I'll probably wait. Because Cam said right before you got on that he is gonna watch Happy Death Day whenever he gets back from vacation. So I'll probably wait. We'll see.
Ooh, okay. Okay, perfect.
I
Maybe
don't know.
maybe we'll do like a movie night and be like, ooh.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. We'll see if we can line that up. But there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about this movie that I guess some would consider spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Uh Yeah. So Indiana Old said, only nitpick was her ringtone alarm isn't in the club like in the trailers.
Oh my god, yeah. False
Honestly,
advertisement. That was such false advertisement.
absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I hate this movie now.
Oh my god, I think that like
0 out of 10.
I had that song stuck in my head because I watched the trailer so much before it came out, and then like I was like, wait, it's not in the movie? Like, what do you mean?
I love a movie that sticks to its theme, but let's do it. Let's do spoilers. Let's talk about it. I'm excited. I'm
Right.
happy. I love it. I want to go to the most spoiler thing. So you have like 5 seconds to mute us or leave because I'm jumping straight into the deep end here.
Because
And
we're too excited to not talk about spoilers.
right, so spoiler warning. And oh my goodness, what did you think about the killer reveal?
That so I thought the twist was really good because I did not see it being the roommate like at
Yeah.
all.
And
Like,
it
I
was
always,
a cupcake.
Like yeah, but it's like, but the reason behind it feels so silly, and it's like, really,
I think to me it feels silly, but also to me it's kind of like I get why.
No, I
'Cause
100% get
it
why, but it's just like, it's
shows
so silly though. Like, if you like really think about it, you're like, oh, that's why she, and you're like, come
right.
on.
But
But
I
it's
guess
like, but that's what makes it even more. It's like, oh, so that's why you wouldn't see it coming, because it's something that you're like, because when you're figuring out, you're like, okay, who that, like, when they keep going back, you're like, all right, who the heck in her life is trying to kill her so bad, especially like on her birthday? And then when it's the roommate, you're like, what? You're like, okay, I didn't even look at her more than 2 seconds.
yeah.
So, and you're like, okay, what's this girl's deal? And then you like find everything out, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right. I think it really highlights the kind of like insane and off, like not insane, this incredibly unhealthy environment that Tree was putting herself in. And I think
Oh
that
yeah,
like the answer, the like overthinking everything, the answer being so simple, being so like
right in her face, right under her
what's
nose.
the word? Being so
Obvious.
full of vain, so superficial, such a superficial
Okay.
reason. It's just a great contrast to the growth that she goes through throughout the movie.
Well, yeah. Again, like the basic concept of it is like, it made like going through that entire motion so many times, it literally forced her to change for the better.
Absolutely.
To get her out of that toxic, like, and not even just talking about like how she was living her life at school, but just like how she's living her life in general because of what happened to her.
She just needed some time. She needed some time to actually reflect and like drop her walls. And one thing I loved about this movie. Her dude friend. What's his name? I already have this movie pulled up.
I forgot his name.
Cam, don't bully me when you see this. Carter was his name.
Oh,
Carter,
yeah.
Carter believed her so quickly, so many times. There's been so many times where it's like, listen, I'm dealing with a Groundhog Day situation. He's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. There's no other way to explain this.
Oh, I love that. I love
wonderful.
Like, there's always, I love that one character that just believes it, because you're like, okay, like, you don't have to be like go through that, and it's like, okay, yeah, they have no reason why. All right, let's go for it. And then like they're on her side, and like want to help her, and I'm like, okay, this is
just like they skipped adding unnecessary drama and focus on the drama that's like already going on.
Yes, thank you.
Thing.
I love that. I love when it's like when you're in a different timeline, or like something's crazy is happening and they're not like, really, like they're just like, all right, yes, this is what's happening, how can I help? And it's like, that just saves so much unnecessary long drama that you don't need, because it's like, all right, we know logically if you really heard that everyone would question it, but it's like, this is not logic, this is a movie, so we can do this.
Thank you. It's so frustrating. It was so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Like, again, like a little side note, like I'll tell you, like recently a movie that did that, Flash did that, where it's like he literally said he was in a different timeline, and Michael Keaton's Batman wasn't like, what the hell are you talking about? He's just like, okay. He's like, I've heard of this. He's like, I know. He's like, and I believe you. And like, explain to him like how it happened. And I'm like, thank you. I don't need to fucking have this where he's like, bro, you're nuts. Get out of my house. Like, I don't need that.
I feel like Keaton's Batman has just seen some shit.
Yes, but that's besides the point. But the fact is that he was like, all right, I dress like a bat. This is probably crazy enough to be true. So Yeah, I'm gonna believe it.
I feel like after so many years, I can't wear my glasses, the glare. Ugh. After so many years of superhero shenanigans, you're just gonna accept things as they are. Like you're not
Yeah.
like, oh, uh,
I think also like just the concept of having certain absurd things in movies. It's like someone kind of came up to you and had this crazy thing happen. It's like, you know what? I think I'd believe them because I've seen it happen, even if it's like in a fictional movie.
for sure.
Like if someone was like, "Oh, it's possessed," I was like, you know what? That can happen.
Did
know,
you
it
have
makes
any?
sense.
Oh, sorry. Are there any highlights? Of course, we had to shoehorn Batman into this. That's what we do.
Sorry. Always. Sorry. Well, I was just thinking
No,
of the concept. I'm sorry.
no sorries, no sorries. Batman's allowed.
Yeah,
Batman
you're
has some
right. I'm
horror
not gonna be sorry
stories. We
about talking
love
about my
him.
boy. I'm not gonna be sorry about that. It's in my DNA. I have to. Just gonna
Yeah, absolutely.
slide him in for a topic for a sec.
Yeah, invite. Talk about Batman with pride. That's what we
Thank,
should do.
thank
But
you.
no, do you have any highlights of this movie? Like what? Like, uh, I. So
I was
part
gonna
of
talk about the meme scene, but it's okay.
okay, I'll get my like super serious, boring movie nerd stuff out the way. Um, Part of this stuff is revealed in the sequel. So
Mm-hmm.
just like that's the perspective I'm viewing this from. Just for clarity's sake. And I'm not going to get into what the
Yeah.
sequel is about. Experience for yourself. Go watch movies. Anyways,
Go watch movies. Exactly. Our only message from the stream: go watch movies.
go watch movies. There's the moment where she thinks that like this making this huge. Oh wait, no, I am talking about the sequel. Oh my god, I almost spoiled the end of the sequel.
Yes. Okay. I think I know
You
where
know
you're
what I
going
was
with this.
thinking about just now?
Yeah.
I almost spoiled that. Oh
Yeah.
my,
No.
ooh,
Thank God you caught
ooh.
yourself, because like I would have been like, yeah, no. It's okay. It's okay. You didn't say
It's so
anything,
bad.
but I knew where you were going with that, and that's why I was like, okay, you caught it before you said
Oh
anything. We're good.
no. I'm like, this feels weird. This feels like so in tune with the sequel. And I'm like, no, Jayla, it is
Because it is the
sequel.
sequel.
I have no brain cells.
No, it's
That's
okay. It's okay. You
great. Anyways,
you caught yourself before.
you talk about the meme scene, please. I beg.
It's so like obviously it's like probably like the most memeable scene from the entire movie, but it's the I forget the guy's name, but like he's always trying to ask her out, and she like figures out he's gay. She's like, "You are gay." It's so funny. It's so
She's like
memeable.
flailing around.
Oh my god, literally, like I remember like that was everywhere when the movie dropped. I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is never gonna like get old. And it just every time I think of the movie, I think of that scene because it just makes me giggle. But I obviously have more highlights than that, but that was just a huge highlight because it's not only is it funny, but like it's just like a little standout moment that you're like immediately recognize that movie. But I'm trying to think if I had any other like specific highlights.
One thing that I loved was the montage of like her trying to figure it out. I know that's like such an easy one to point to, but I thought it was. I just really like the concept of like, they built a concept where it's a mystery slasher. Who's the killer?
Like who
That's the
done
word.
it? Yeah.
It's a who done it. There it is. It's a who
I
done it.
love
But
who done it
also
so much.
it's the victim figuring it out, and that's just so juicy to me. Mwah, love it. I love a
It's
mystery.
usually
I
like
love
the
something
investigator,
cool.
like, okay, why would this person kill them? But it's like she's literally witnessing her own death, and she's like, I'm the only one who can figure it out.
Oh, and also it's taking a toll on her. Like
Oh
she
my god,
is actually like harming her.
yeah.
Which was fascinating.
Well, yeah, that was actually a very interesting way to go about it, which I liked.
Yeah. Any other highlights? I just love this movie. It has layers to it, but also it goes about these layers in such a like really smooth, clean way that there's not as much that you can pick through when compared to something like bodies.
Oh god. God. Oh
And I'm
my
just trying to make sure we have enough time to talk about bodies, because I
god.
know.
I'll say one thing. Yeah, to like kind of add to the montage is like you kind of every time she's going through it again, like the whole day, you're like, okay, you're kind of like start to like predict what she's doing, which is kind of cool. It's like, okay, she's gonna go walk this way, she's gonna go say hi to this person, blah blah blah. But then, you know, like she also kind of does things differently, and it's like, okay, that didn't change anything, so let's try again next time. And like, you know, again, it gets better each time, and then she slowly, you know, figuring out who the freaking killer is, who's killing her. And then like when it actually happens, you're just, oh, you know, you got it.
Welcome, little Wolfie. You joined the right time. I'll wrap up my feelings too, real quickly, nice and short and sweet. This movie in particular makes me so excited that this is who's making our next Scream.
Oh my
It's a
god,
whodunit.
so lucky.
It has
so lucky.
Good tension in it. The first time Tree dies is actually tense. You got your chase scenes, you got your humor, it's just going to be great. I'm calling it now.
Like, I think it's going to be something new that we've been wanting. He's going to deliver something totally new. That it, again, like, not to like fully talk about Scream, but like a lot of people are very concerned because they don't think that the new core 4 is going to like die at all. And like it's, and like, I mean, like, you never know, but you know, that's usually, you know, that slowly happens. So
I just feel like, and I'm going to end on this, and we'll destroy the bodies. I agree. And I just kind of feel like, no, not to be rude or any hate to Radio Silence, but they just did Scream 2 again. They just copy and pasted Scream 2 again. And I find that frustrating. But we'll talk about that later. That's another topic for another day.
But I think I like it better than Scream 2. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's another topic for another day. We'll get to it.
I'm sorry. It's like
You're
my second
fine.
favorite.
I love it.
After the first one. So that's another hot take in itself. Oh God, Bodies.
Let's jump into it. Bodies. That's a movie that I've been trying to get you and Blake to watch for so long.
Oh
and
my God, I know it's been on this forever. And I was like, we literally every time when we find out what streaming service is on, we've been like, oh yeah, let's watch that. I was like, we need to just watch it. We've been saying this for like and then like it hit the 1 year anniversary the other day, and I was like, babe, we gotta watch this. Like, we can't like pull this off anymore. Yes. And, oh my God, it is not what I thought it was.
I know, isn't it great?
I think the best thing about it is that even though it's been out for a year, I had never got any spoilers, which I'm very happy about.
Yes, I love it.
I knew nothing about this except for that Pete Davidson was in it. That's the only thing I knew about it.
Oh my goodness! Listen, for anyone here that hasn't seen Bodies, we're going to talk about it with no spoilers. But when we get to spoilers, please leave. Please, if you want to watch this movie, watch it.
Yeah, because this is a pretty recent movie that you're like, you gotta watch it. And you're like, you don't want this is something that even if it's not a big deal, you don't want it spoiled for you because like because if I got anything spoiled, I don't think I would ever watch it. But yeah. But yeah, like even if it's like something little, I don't know. There's just a lot of things. Because I went in this movie blind, I think I enjoyed not knowing until like the end.
Oh my gosh!
But it's a movie. It's a movie. It's a movie. Oh my God.
New viewer Cam says Bodies is the only one here I've seen, but I'm gonna watch the other two when I get back from Alaska. At Jordan, definitely watch this one. It's hilarious. I agree, actually, new viewer Cam. This movie is so funny. It is so great. The humor is just a treat. Great,
oh my God,
amazing.
It is so
we watched this at our Regal Rip, and
oh my God.
I was like, it made me laugh to the point where I almost had like tears in my eyes.
I won't lie. When we watched it the other day, I couldn't stop laughing. He's like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "This was like unapologetically like one of the most unserious but funny movies I've ever seen."
I still quote it.
So funny.
I still quote it.
It's not what I expected at all. It's so good though because it was so like unserious. Oh my God. It's so good.
Do you want to get into spoilers? I just think everyone should watch it.
Because there's like some. It's just like I have to
watch it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, we're gonna talk about spoilers now. So
Go
if you
for it.
haven't seen it, click off. Because we just gotta get into it.
You have like 2 seconds to click off because it's spoilers starting now.
Okay, perfect. Oh my god, this movie's so funny.
Okay, Sabrina, this is more fresh for you. First time watch fresh, of course.
Yeah.
I just want you to kind of like give me your thoughts, give me your reaction. How do you feel about the end? And also, yes or no, was the veterinarian joke the best joke in the movie?
Oh my god. Oh god, that killed me. I was like, no. Honestly, I kind of thought he was a vet too, like a veteran.
Oh,
A veteran. I was like, well, he's old enough to be one, and then she's like, oh no, a veterinarian. I was like,
well, like that's what they
wait,
build you up to think. That's what they make you think. That was on purpose. That's why it's so funny. That's like he was a veterinarian is so funny.
honestly though, he still had weird vibes.
That was Lee Pace, by the way. He's great. He is pushing daisies. He's in a show that's really good that I am on
Oh
like
my
the
god,
last
people.
3
I've heard some
episodes
people try
on.
to fan cast him as Batman, and I'm like, I don't.
Sorry, Cap.
He's
But,
he's a no. He's a no for me, dog. He's not a.
he was I couldn't see him as Batman, but and the other things I have seen him in, I've always enjoyed him. He was so much fun in this, but also he's like a 40-something year old dude hanging out with these like
20,
late
like,
teen, 20-something year old
yeah, it's
folks.
very.
And it's so like you shouldn't
I
be
actually
here.
had a friend like this, so like this was very like ooh, a very cringe. It was a very big cringe fest. Honestly, like I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but like for most of the movie, it was just like the entire time it just reminded me why I would never hang out with girls like this because they were all insufferable for half the movie. They really were like, although not the girlfriend,
B.
Yeah, not B. Everyone else was insufferable.
Yeah, I think
And they're not good friends to each other, and they should not be friends. They're all toxic to each other. Like, oh my god.
for realsies, I think that a lot of this comments on like how quick and like especially like these days how quick we are to not to like run with a certain idea and never stop to question things, you know what I mean, to kind of like get caught up in hysterics and get caught up in the drama of it all and not actually apply any critical thinking to it. I think
Yeah.
this was a really smart satire viewing that kind of mindset in a very dangerous situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Dangerous.
like, again, even though they kind of like when I don't know her name, but the girls whose boy, like the older boyfriend, how she was like when they thought it was him at first who killed Pete Davidson's character. Think that her how like they think that's
Alice.
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 Thank you, Alice. Yeah, Alice's boyfriend. So like immediately like once he gets knocked out and they kill him because they all thought, obviously the veterinarian joke that we said, they all thought he was a vet, they all thought he was off, that once their friend was dead, and like there's already tension from that night between the two of them, so it's like it wasn't that far off for them to get suspicious of him because like that was the whole concept, like they all knew each other except for the one boyfriend and the main girl, the new girl bringing her girlfriend B to the party. Everyone else kind of like seemed like they knew each other for a long time, so it's like okay. And then when he's acting all off, they all kind of like confront him about, they're like, why'd you kill him? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then like so basically they all got defensive and then ended up kind of knocking him out and accidentally killing him. And then I guess kind of after that, they kind of like start dropping like flies for no reason. But like it's true, like because you don't know what's happening. But like
Right.
Like you're kind of like you're still trying to figure out like who killed Pete Davidson's character, especially after this guy is dead. Because like they still don't know for sure, even if they killed him out of self-defense. So they still don't know. And then like there's more of their friends dying. So then it just kind of gets worse. It becomes more of a who's doing this, and it's like they're saying that they think it's them in order of how they played the game, bodies.
Yeah.
So, and like that's how it seems to be at first, but then I think it just becomes a coincidence, and it just becomes them like even if they're lifelong friends, how quick their distrust in each other can go. Because like
Right.
immediately they're all like, "Oh, you're acting suspicious. Oh no, you're acting suspicious. Oh, we know this about you." Like, and like you're like, "What? Where's this going?" Like, you know, because again, you're supposed to believe that they're all great friends, and then they're all just ready to like throw each other under the bus, which is like crazy. That's why I would never be friends with any of these girls because like that sucks. Because like they're all like literally, if like cops came, they would all point the finger at each other, and like that sucks.
You know, I think that like it was so, and it's in the context of the movie, it was so funny seeing these girls use the situation to air out their petty bullshit with
Oh
each
my
other.
god, that was crazy. Because it's like, all right, again, you're thinking that like all your friends are literally dropping like flies, and then like, when you get into fights, you're like trying to take jabs at each other for like, but it's like irrelevant things to the situation. So it's like, who cares if someone like if like the one girl was like, "Oh, I hate watch your podcast," and like she got mad. Like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like that was so weird. That was a very like weird, like that's just a very petty girl drama that didn't like need to be, a thing. When it's like more serious things are at stake here. Like you still don't know who's killing all your friends.
Yeah, I think it's
and they're all turning on each other because they're all like, they just don't trust each other and they're just so quick to not.
For sure. No, I completely, I agree. I think a lot of it is kind of like the hysterics that people go into, and like,
yeah.
I totally lost my train of thought just out of nowhere. But
like the hysterics you were talking about.
What do you say?
When you say like talking about like them going to like the hysterics.
It's kind of it just no brain today. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry at home. It's so there's so many things going on about this, but it really is a satire of like Gen Z and like late millennials that couldn't crossover barrier.
Oh
and
my god,
like it is. It totally is. And I laughed at all of it. It was so hilarious to kind of like.
I feel like that's just like a lot of common genre in horror movies nowadays. It's like that Gen Z like.
Yeah, it is. No, it definitely is. But this wasn't cringe. You know what I mean? Like it was not like that is like a. It wasn't like. For me, like I know that they know that I know, like everyone's in on the joke. You know what I mean? The writers isn't on a joke, director isn't on a joke, the actors are. Everyone gets it. It's not like punching down at the generation, like kids these days. Everyone understands the satire that's going on. I really respected that. It's hard to nail that sometimes. And I think that it was really interesting that at the very end of all of this, and I'm going to sound like an old lady. I know I am, but I'm going to do it anyways. At the very end of all of this, the biggest like conundrum, the biggest like fallout, the biggest thing that's stressed on is being able to check her girlfriend's phone. It was B and Sophie, and it was revealed that Sophie cheated on B, and everything's going on. And as someone who finds a little drama entertaining when like real people aren't being like hurt, and I'm not involved, movie drama, I don't know, ignore that.
Like again, it like seemed like it was taking itself seriously until like the very end, until they discover.
That's interesting because I never felt like it was taking itself 100% seriously. I
wouldn't say to like 100%, but I'd say like for a good amount of it because it was like you think it's like a murder mystery.
Yeah,
and until you learn what really happened, which we're gonna talk about in a second. But until you and then like when like the ending, it's just like, oh, now I have service. It's just like that's how it ends. Like I don't. It was just a very weird ending. It was a very weird ending. I didn't.
Indiana Old says Sophie.
I liked Sophie. After a while, I did not.
Were
like
the
her.
only characters I liked. Listen, I know I'm the only person here right now that's going to say this, but oh my gosh, oh goodness, I had so much fun with Alice's character. Her little tangent.
Oh my god, I think she was my least favorite.
Like she's written in a way that
went right through my like. It's nothing against the actress, but just like her like screams and like the way her like. Yelling, I was like, oh my god, this girl's probably like my least favorite. Like her voice is just going right through me.
She was so funny. She was so
No, I'm
hilarious.
not saying she wasn't. It's just like her voice after a while just got really annoying, and I was like, I don't
No,
know.
that's valid. That's totally valid. I'm just like I just like I don't know. I just found her character fun in the way that the character is her
Yeah.
own thing. But yeah, I love this movie. This movie was one of my favorites of last year.
I'm so mad that I took this long to watch it, but
I know, but we can talk about the ending. Sorry, tangent. You were talking about the ending and how it ended weirdly. Let's just get it out there. A fresh reminder for anyone who.
that was so fucking fun. I literally still can't stop laughing every time. That's probably one of the funniest endings to a movie I've ever seen in my life.
It was amazing. Anyone here? Just so we're clear here. Quick reminder, because I know that everyone here has already seen Bodies, and I'm not going to spoil this for you right now. Pete Davidson was never murdered.
He was
trying to
his
do
little
the
like samurai sword with a wine bottle and ended up hitting himself in the throat.
yes.
Like, are you kidding me?
He
It's
was
like the most
trying.
idiotic thing ever. Like, I knew he was so dumb. I was like, oh my god.
he was trying to recreate the samurai trick that Lee pasted because they had beef and he wanted to be cool and he was on TikTok
Yes,
recording and he just got himself in the neck and that's how he died. So
basically all that bloodshed in the movie was for nothing.
Genuinely, they all died from except for Lee Pace. B went into survival mode and just took that weight and boop,
yeah, and like everyone's like, oh, we don't know her, and it's like she literally saved your life. She literally, it's not because she had like violent tendencies. She literally was like, it's either us or him.
Yeah.
And like you saw how he was. He was a big, strong man. So like he like was throwing all these girls like against the fucking wall and shit. Like he could have freaking destroyed all of them. Like
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Listen, even though he needed to go.
But outside of that, most of the deaths were accidents. Outside of that was the only intentional death that happened in this movie. And I know smarter people have been able to put this in better words than I am right now, but I found that really like smart to present a slasher movie where the way to avoid any of the carnage wasn't like finding someone. It's just having a little bit of nuance. Having a little bit of nuance and kind of like thinking about the world outside of your own world. Because they were always kind of only thinking about how things affected them. And that was their downfall. It was that,
that and like, again, the easy distrust in each other. Because they weren't really genuine friends, that they were easily like immediately if someone said, you're like, oh, what about you? Like, like it's like they were all trying to call each other out because like when it was something about them, they're like, oh, well, you're no better. And it's like, no, it's not a competition. Like you guys are clearly not genuine friends if you're willing to throw each other under the bus. Yeah, that's literally what they did the entire after everything with Pete Davidson and like Lee Pace after he died, every one of them just threw each other under the bus. That was it.
It really speaks to how like it was friendships out of convenience, not friendships out of connection. And that kind of situation and just like not having that connection with other people, which I think that is a huge problem that we have these days, is not connecting with people, just breeds this self-centered, self-focused mindset. And I don't know, I'm probably getting
no, you're right. But it's like that it's like those friends like, oh, I've known them forever, so you're settling and like you're afraid to not be friends with them.
What? I'm sorry, say it again. You glitched.
Like so it's like kind of like settling when it comes to like friendships.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, cause like they were afraid to like again like until like the life or death situation, they're willing to throw each other on the bus. But before that, they're like all acting like they're all besties for a long time. But it's like it clearly was like they're all afraid to not be friends because they're not genuine friends. They're just like, oh, we've known each other forever, so we're friends.
Right. And I also feel like they were seeking out things that they could benefit from too.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like again,
okay, I got you.
Yeah, they're all using each other because like they're not, they didn't really give a shit about each other, like because that genuine connection.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah, and it's I No, I feel like I'm getting too word vomity on this one, but
No, it's okay. But
it's a fun movie, I promise.
it literally has one of the best endings to a movie ever. Just saying.
I love showing people this movie just for the ending because like
Oh my God,
it sells you so well. Like I'm like,
I did not see that. I was like, no way. I was like, oh my God. That was
you know,
so good.
at the very
So well done.
end, yeah, at the very end, I was like, this makes no sense. Like, I don't understand how it could be any of these three people, and it wasn't. It was Pete Davidson being Pete Davidson and being this. I love Pete. I'm sorry.
I love it. He was like the perfect. Honestly, like he was a perfect person in that movie.
He is so much fun in this. It was great.
He was the best part of that movie, man. He was so funny.
The casting, this is so smart. The acting and the you know everyone that worked in this movie were really smart. Like they're really smart people. You can see the way it was filmed. By the way, out of all the movies that we've talked about today, the way that this one was filmed was gorgeous. I loved that they were using like their phone lights in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't personally. I'd hate to do that in real life, but that was really cool.
So good. I love the use of the music. I love because it has a great like score and the use of the glow sticks and just really it builds this great kind of like energy and vibe, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. It's so much fun. I had one more point to make about this. Oh shoot. Sabrina, do you have any last words, or have we touched on everything you want to touch on for bodies?
Pretty much touched upon everything I wanted to say.
Okay, great, cool. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh no, really?
I know. I was going on like a really great, like smooth landing here, and it's gone. It left me.
No, I want to know. I want to
I
know what you're
know.
gonna
I
say.
know. I know. Jeez.
Wait,
Let's
give
see.
yourself a minute. Maybe I'll come back to you. Give yourself a minute. Maybe I'll come.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, got it. Actually.
Knew it. I knew it. Yeah, give yourself a second.
Everyone that worked on this was just really smart. A lot of this movie was actually ad lib. They just kind of like this, you know, they just. I can't. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
What's
just take
the
your time.
word? I'm falling apart. There was a lot of banter. They used banter again with each other, and it was just sitting in a room or sitting on set, I should say,
Yeah.
and just kind of like building off of one each other.
Yeah, no, it seemed like they probably had like a genuine connection behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's just cool to see that. And I love that this movie I get it, and it still felt like, yes, thank you, Sith Morrison. Sith Morrison says, bounce off one another. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. They bounce off one another, and like it's just so cool to see. And I love that this movie is showing a toxic side of friendships and how how we connect to each other can be toxic. And I loved it because I still connect with it in a satire
Yeah, and
way.
again,
In a
it's
way
like
that,
it's saying, you know, you don't have to keep friendships just because you've known them for so long.
yeah, it's just like
like especially that one girl Sophie, where she's like, "Oh, I was triggered by being with them." Like, learn to think that's okay.
Yeah. You always got my back, Seth Morrison. I'm making sure that we're going to be, by the way, we're going to be posting these onto Spotify eventually. So I'm making sure that I get your username in whenever I'm talking so people can hear us and know who's talking. But exactly. This movie can be fun for anyone. I know that it kind of like hit the right spots for me from multiple different ways. The ending was great, but also when I got home, I kind of thought about it for a bit, which is what you want. And if that's all I have to say about Bodies X3, lovely movie. You got any words?
Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Because the ending makes it all worth it.
Go watch it again, because I know if you're here, you listen to my spoiler warning and you're not watching it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're not watching this right now if you haven't watched it. Or something. Anyway,
we knew what you meant.
2 shows this week. Woo! We did it.
God.
I
got
love the
triple
idea.
content for you this no, not triple. I'm sorry. Double content for you this
Close enough.
You know what I meant.
I love this. I love this idea. I kind of want to do another night where it's just me and you for final girls night.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like, please.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been like a treat. It's been
Maybe for one of them we could talk about Yield Red Rise.
actually yes, because it covers on the right. It hits the right spots, hits the right sweet spots. But make sure if you see this, if you're watching a rerun of it, if you are seeing us tweet, I don't know, let us know what movies you want us to watch
And cover.
for Final Girl Night, and also in
Future
general.
topics. And
Let
yeah,
us
future
know.
topics.
Anything. Well, we're interested. Maybe there's something that isn't on our radar. But until then, stay tuned. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Last Scare, as well as TikTok, so you're always in the loop about what's coming up next, and you will know what we're about to talk about. Probably Evil Dead and Batman, and maybe a little bit of Spider-Man for me.
Yes.
But until then, just like our favorite boy,
I'll be right back.